might last longer, and so forth. From your point of view, when you install something, guys, the question is the roofing. When you install a system, or you're going to install a system in a roof, just unless you're familiar with the integrity of the roof, consult a roofer to tell you, to give you his expertise, okay? Or from the structure, from the capability to hold the panels, or from the actually type of the roof, if it has any imperfections. Some of the things we do up here, you're going to go actually and do some measurements. You're going to learn to become a little bit of roofers, or a little bit of, and understand really when you mount those panels up there, whether they are fitting the right way or not.
In other words, you're telling me I'm going to spend $500 per panel for Warshauer electric, and you can't tell me, you know, if the roof is going to be good enough to hold these panels.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. That's right. That's why the industry is so broad that you see people who do the installations, or actually companies, they hire roofers, they have carpenters, they hire electricians, they hire engineers. So I think depending on the scale of the project, the requirements are tough. Because you may be able to put it something, you may get a job, a 3 kW system with few panels, but all of a sudden you go and install it and the roof is not the right thing, and then you have problems.
So in other words, as an electrical contractor, I have to hook up with a roofer who's going to guarantee the roof and the stability of the roof, so I can go over there and just hook up the liability.
That's why, guys, that's why I keep on saying that this initial survey and pre-planning is such an important task that you do. It's such an important task that you must do before you do the job. Once you do, listen, guys, please. Once you do, you're going to find out in practice, once you do 2, 3 of them, especially in a certain size, the rest of it is really not much thought process. However, the actual doing part of it, the doing part of it will become the easiest part afterwards. The thinking part of it will become the most difficult part. Yes?
Okay, now I'm an electrician. I have a customer who says, I'm thinking about solar panels.
Yes, sir.
What I'm thinking right now is I should be a friend of a roofer, number one, who can come up on that roof and tell me that roof is good for 10 years. Or 20, whatever. But I have to, with all honesty, I have to go to this customer and say, look, here's what I have to do. Number one, we got to find out if your roof faces the south. Number two, we have to find out if the roof on your house will not leak for as long as the solar panels are guaranteed. Number three is you must have a certified roofer to go up there. All I'm saying is, if you're going to be honest with your customer, which I think every guy in here is, you want to make sure that customer has confidence in your, here's my price. But I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I did my homework.
That's correct.
Okay, but would it be right to befriend a roofer in your own area and say, look, I'll tell you what, you give me an honest judgment of that roof, and I'll give you a couple bucks back, $100.
No, there's no honest judgment when you're in business. In business, the only judgment you have, and remember, and I don't want to hold this thing too much, okay? Dwell on it too much. You're in business. As a businessman, you have a responsibility to do a job. Part of the photovoltaic installation includes the electrical as well as the rest of the system. So as a result, hold it, let me just finish. As a result, if you're in the business of installing that, which a lot of the people some here are, and perhaps if they do, they are responsible for all this stuff, and they get all these disciplines around them, whether they have to pay them, or they have to get consulting fees, whatever it is, to inform them in a situation like this. You might have to visit the place twice, 3 times, okay? 3 times to make sure that when you do your actual planning, your proposal, you're taking care of all the variables associated with installation. Very similarly, when you go and you have to do a service, or you have to do a motor control center, or underground, feeders and so forth. Yes?
Bottom line is just when you fill out a permit, it says responsible person in charge. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. You gotta take care of everything.
You got to take care of everything. The loading, the things like this. If you feel that you're not capable of doing that, then you cannot be in the business. Then you might be going to be doing just the electrical connections. Okay? Remember, person responsible for the work. You have done, fill up the permits. That's why the industry is such.
Yeah, but you know what, we're in an impasse here, I'm not sold on this, but continue.
Okay. So this is you mount something on the roof. Then you have to, the gentleman the other day, I remember, was up there, he says, whenever you do something, make sure before you do pounds, you got an engineering drawings. I guess he was right if I mentioned that. You've got to look at your electrical system. Your electrical system will have some requirements, whether or not, what type, guys, please. Your electrical system will have, you have to understand your existing electrical system, because that will have some requirements with respect to how big of a system you can really tie it up to it. We'll have having to do what? Any modifications. When you have to plug a certain amount of PV generated type of what? Of power up here, the size of the circuit breaker, the size of the power you can feed into your main electrical system depends on the type of the system that you have. There are certain requirements associated with that. Okay, how big of a system you can put. So you need to study that, because otherwise you may have to do what? Some modifications to actually what? To your main electrical system. Maybe perhaps downsize the circuit breaker, or change the panel, or put a new service and so forth. There are some things that you have to do, and we'll go through them so you get a better understanding when you tie the output of the inverter into you actually service up there. So you got to take these things up, because remember, you're going up there for the initial survey, might as well, you take that form and you fill it up. And if that form is filled up completely, you've done your job. If you left half of it what? Empty, you better don't do it. And the funny thing is, I'm a straight shooter, so I'm going to tell you things as I feel, because I do these things and I get myself involved with these things. And you find out over the period of time that if you don't do these things, then they haunt you. Remember, this is systems that are expensive. They're not cheap systems. So it's not like a service. You're going back and move it or make some modifications. Once you mess it up, the cost of repairing is much, okay? Some of the surveying equipment that you have, it's a sun path calculator that is used what? To get the solar window, okay? It's there's a couple versions of them for a particular location, and you get the shading up there. There is a nice video in your CD that actually gives you a little picture of this. And then you can use other types of systems. This type of, what did I do with my pointer here? The sun path calculator here looks like this. You put in a tripod in the area that you're going to mount the panels, and it gives you a shading law analysis in here, how much shade you get. And usually in the old times, you used to actually write into it. You get a piece of paper, and you show that to the utility company, you show that to the actually customer, how much shade you get in certain areas, and this is a good candidate to put the panels. Well, things have improved since then. They have now a more sophisticated type of instrumentation that you can get all this shading analysis